Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Ring Rivals, which is brought to you by OB Gamers. It's for 2 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, and games generally run about 15 to 45 minutes. Ring Rivals is a quick-fire competitive wrestling card game. You will choose from a pool of wrestlers with differing strengths and weaknesses, and play cards to attempt to beat your opponents in a round of stat comparisons, allowing you to pin and knock your opponents out of the game until you are the last one standing. You will have a hand of cards with varying effects and usefulness, and you must also manage your own stamina resource to survive your opponent's attack. So join me as we enter the ring. Winning is easy, right? You just have to pin your fellow wrestlers. But of course, you're going to have to reduce their stamina first. Now, each of the wrestlers have stats that you need to be mindful of, and they all specialize in one of these stats. So we've got throws, and these are going to be marked by blue, and these work well with your powerhouse style wrestlers. And then we have strikes. These strikes are marked in red and work well with brawler type of wrestlers. And then we've got aerials, and these are for the high flyers, and they're marked as purple. You know, the aerials are definitely some of my favorite of the wrestlers. I really like the Harlem Hawk and just all those high flyers. Those are the ones I pick in playing this game for sure. But you also have submissions, and these are marked in orange, and they're going to work well with your grappler style wrestlers. Now again, each of these wrestlers have an icon showing what they specialize in, what you're going to get the maximum benefit of their stats when you play move cards against your opponents. So you want to keep that in mind, but also all these wrestlers have a special ability that you can tap into throughout the course of the game. So at the start of the game, you'll pick your wrestler, you'll get 6 move cards and set up your 5 stamina cards, all ready for battle. Now the game is designed to be quick playing fast, so you're going to go through turns pretty quickly here. Now it's really a simple process, how turns work. And you have a couple choices right up front. You can say, I'm going to clash with someone, and you're going to pick that person and play cards against them. Or you're going to take a breather. And if you choose to take a breather, you can either discard a card from your hand to gain a stamina back or draw a new card from the move deck. But obviously what you're after here is to go for those clashes, trying to whittle your opponent down and pin them. And you're looking at the cards in your hand, trying to pick the different types that work well with the stats that you have to get the maximum points. It is a points game after all, and you're trying to beat your opponent's score in order to whittle them down or eventually just pin them. So you're picking cards from your hand, and there's some variation here. Based on the card you're playing, there'll be different things that are going to require that you burn stamina in order to play a card. There's combos that can be performed. Combos are super powerful because they allow you to put a multiplier on the 2 cards that you played, but you have to have the right cards, the right color in order to play those. And then there's also ways to use cards as stamina. So lots of interesting choices to be made as you're playing these cards. Now, the other type is flair. Add some flair to what you're doing. These cards are going to also augment your main card that you're playing, and will give you all kinds of different things. And there's just so many different flair types, things like grabbing chairs and going after your opponents, things like that. But they're going to give you variations on what you're doing, and sometimes you can play just a flair card, which becomes super powerful in that confrontation. So you'll pick the card or cards that you're going to play against your opponent and play them face down. Your opponent will do the same, and you'll flip simultaneously, and then you'll compare values. You add the value from your wrestler to the value of the card, and whoever has the highest value is going to win that particular confrontation. Now, if it's a stalemate, nothing happens. But if you win the clash, then you have a choice. You can either draw a new move card, or you can recover a stamina, which is really nice, which might be crucial at certain points in the game for sure. Now, you also have the option of going for the pin if you won the clash. And you have different pin types, and they have different requirements, and your opponent simply has to pay the stamina for the different type of pin that happens to be applied upon them, either be it amateur, pro, or elite, and different types of stamina are required for each of those for them to kick out. If they kick out, they pay the stamina, and then nothing else happens. But the thing here is that if they can't pay the stamina, then you win. It's that simple. But of course, there's lots of different cards and how these cards play into each other, as well as combos and the different flares that are going to really set up a lot of interaction as you're playing against these different opponents and different wrestlers and their different abilities that you have to take into account as you're using them and playing against them. And if you're playing in a game that has more than 2 players, you have the potential to assist the player that's being pinned by giving them stamina, helping them break out of that. And so it becomes this whole other type of game when you have multiple players. Again, there's different modes for this game that we didn't really talk about. You've got basically your single match one-on-one, but you've got the battle royale. We could have 4 players, but you do have tag team as well. And there are cards for tagging specifically for that, but also you can use tagging in other modes of the game as well. But I like the tag team option. It's really neat. You have one wrestle in, you tag out, and it's basically every other turn kind of idea. So these different modes of the game add a lot of flavor, but what is really key about this game is how you pair cards. Using flare cards, using different combo cards, and using the right card with your best stat in order to whittle your opponent down. And it does become a very fast and furious type of game. And you hope to be the wrestler that has won the day and pinned everyone at the table. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye in the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, this was just a quick overview, a brief look at the game and its basics, but as you jump into other game modes, as you explore all these different move cards and their different abilities and how you can augment them and learn the different types and how they best pair with the different types of wrestlers. Not only that, but the different abilities of these wrestlers really keep the game fresh, and again, it is so fast paced that you keep coming back and back for more. It is this idea of grappling with your fellow wrestler at the table. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.